Hey, welcome. We got a couple of things to do in our Tachyon Tech journey. So, episode 7 was very short in terms of elapsed time. Instead of 2 years, which is the usual, we went down to half a year episode. And here we had 81 million revenue, but this is pretty good. If you multiply it by 4 to reach that 2 year average, we'd be around 320 million. That means our revenues have been increasing because we did double up all of our retail stores. They're not mature, but they're getting there. So in terms of expenses, our ads and PR expenses, basically advertising, has been up from 7.6% of revenue to 8.7. This is important because our brand was actually suffering a bit. Hopefully this will be able to be toned down as our product quality goes up, as R&D catches up and increases the quality of products. Training went up slightly as well as we increased training in 2 of our factories, but it's revenue, and you'll see the effects of revenue down here. So R&D actually is pretty stable in terms of what we're doing. Same number of R&D centers. They're pretty much doing the same thing as always. But we managed to dilute this from 24 to 19. This is because our revenues are increasing. This is very important. And I think expense dilution is the way to go. So this turned our net operating loss of 6.5% or 15 million to a gain of 5% or 4 million in, of course, 1/4 of the time, but is not necessarily healthy, but it's much better than our negative 6.5%. So we had actually a net operating profit in a lifetime, or actually a net profit of 14 million. This is actually more correctly noted as net profit. Okay, and as for the balance sheet, our cash increased by 24 million to 101 million. But this increase in 24 million is actually accompanied by a 50 million increase in loans because we had to invest in these new stores, which is basically land and resources, a little bit of business assets, and a tiny bit of inventory. So that is the financials. We are in actually a 1.3 million last 12-month operating profit and a 64 million net debt ratio, which means we're at 49.2 times. This is extremely high, but since we're flipping an operating profit from negative to positive, it's natural that this will be skyrocketed either to the positive or the negative, and hopefully will stabilize somewhere around 2 in the long term. And going back to the business, we have a couple of things to be working on. We have our R&Ds, they're being shuffled around, but we have another 6-month cycle to go through. But we have some interesting things to notice. So when we look at desktop computers, as I mentioned before, we doubled our retail chain. So our demand for desktop computers has gone through the roof, even though we only have one Serpentine store buying from our desktop computer factory. We have not enough product, and you look here, it's missing inputs. CPU. What is going on with their CPU factory? It says 50%, but lo and behold, it does not have enough manufacturing capacity. Demand is through the roof. And we're trying to get there. I would like to take a look at our supply. The purchasing may not be enough. And when you look at our factory of silicon, this is not right. There we go. Inventory is zeroed out. We do not have enough silicon going for us. So this is trying to produce, but it is not enough. So we will have some things to be done throughout the value chain. And I think this is what it will end up summarizing this episode, this reshuffling in about 6 months, and the increase of our throughput of the consumer products that'll push our strategy in technology. So having said that, let's try to get through it. So I think the first step is to increase this capacity of silicon wafers. And we do have glass here that's splitting up a little bit of the capacity. I had a little bit of questioning if I should, we have a lot of suppliers, a lot of clients, none of them are us. So we could actually We have two routes to go through, right? We could increase by 50% our production of silicon within this factory, or we can dedicate this to glass and produce a larger silicon factory. As we are a tech company, I would tend to prioritize this factory as it's also, well, actually it's only selling silicon to us. That is easy for us to swap from one factory to the other. So I think I'll actually produce the silicon factory somewhere else. And I think I'll actually go on with a medium-sized factory. I think that will be enough. We'll have a dedicated 50% more cells within a larger overall system. As for glass, I think we have plenty of supply, so we do not actually need to convert these into glass, although that is an option. So I'll go ahead and produce this medium factory very quickly. Question is, where do you want to do it? You want to pay 4.8, 4.6, 4.4 million. Yep. So we are going to purchasing. I'm actually guessing that do I need one sales or two sales? What do you think? Two sales here. How are they in terms of supply and demand? They're managing to deal with it. I'm gonna bet I may require two selling units, but I'll try this one. So we got this. Let's purchase our, actually not our, but silica. In all cities. You are going to put silicon. Demand is of course super high, but because we just built the factory. There we go, silicon is coming up available in internal sales. Oh, look at that. Internal motion is actually producing this. This is interesting. That's one of the profitable competitors. But I will decrease the price I charge to myself. Let's make it open to everybody. But of course, when we come here, we'll start swapping out this silicon. So I'll actually attempt to, we have plenty of glass. So what I'm going to do is start canceling up these units. Let this inventory slowly trickle out. CPUs are definitely a bottleneck. I may have to increase this. Do I have external customers? I do not. That is actually pretty good. That means my factory can increase to a large size. Set it up right next to it. 7 million cost. It's 1 year profit. Oof. How's my layout? I have 3. Okay. And let's purchase this guy from my own silicon. I actually have this new name, right? So it's Tachyon. Silicon. Do a little bit of naming games. This is the Tachyon Silica Syndicate. I will actually have to purchase from somewhere else. All cities, suppliers, silicon. Now I have 2. Purchase from a new one. CCDs? No, we're going to do CPUs. I wonder if this will be able to produce both CCDs and CPUs. You have a name for this? Tachyon Tech. Fab 00002 because eventually we'll have 1,000, of course. Keep it going. Silicon still has inventory. I'll let that run for a little while. But I will hopefully be able to hold on. We'll have 1 unit purchase of CPUs. I want to shut this guy off. So what I think I'll do is I can set you up to sell you for 69. Trying to trickle this product out. We're producing glass for a lot of people. You charge a few cents more. And as for you, I will ideally I would swap these guys out. I don't want to write off all this inventory. So yeah, so as for the desktop computers, I could swap immediately. You know what? I think for the sake of producing computers, which is super important, there are the products coming in. The supply of desktop computer has stopped. How are you producing air conditioners? No. I know what I did. Are you producing silicon? Hold on. I saw what I did. Don't worry. Silicon. You want silicon. Okay, that's good. Silicon, producing CPUs. Now I want to purchase CPUs from this one. Obviously, this one did not rename. Tachyon Tech Fab 2. How hard is that? So give me that air conditioner. Clear all this junk. CPUs will be sold for minimal profit. Got CPUs trickling in. And now we gotta do that dirty work for all these retail stores. So let's desktop computers. Make sure we have this selected. Coming in for 168. And this guy here, Barcelona. Store number 2. Store number 2 as well for Santiago. There, we fixed that little accident. Oh, really? New R&D center, where's that? Producing headache pills. That's interesting, but you're gonna start spending money when you are not necessarily super profitable. I'm not super excited about this price, but I will sell another 5%. And out of control, perhaps that'll allow you to be more aggressive in your particular strategies. Hopefully you'll make more money off of that. So here we have silicon. Ooh, we have other customers. Hopefully we'll get these customers here as well, and we are starting to do so. We have inventory, that's important. CPUs. What I can do is produce a little bit of inventory, but I'm not sure I necessarily want that because it's super sensitive to tech, and our supply is keeping up. That is great. Desktop computers seems to be improving. The past 36 months, I would have expected a longer chart than that. But we are producing slowly but surely. Why is everything level 1? Should I produce an HQ and an HR department? I feel that's never that effective, I wonder. I don't know. Maybe it is. How are we doing with our no clients here? Not even internal. So Tachyon Tech factory number 1 actually be deactivated. What we could do is even produce CCDs, really. What I could actually do is disable 2 of these, because CCDs, I don't really feel there's that much demand. I'm going to decrease it to 2, clear the stock, take this off internal sale. Hopefully someone went call 2. Okay, we have to decrease that. Specifically name you CCD Tech. R&D, it's coming. 52 to 71. Why are you so bad? Production Tech is okay. It's producing a quality of 50, okay. Gosh, I don't know why I saw that 2 quality. That's raw materials, 2 out of 5. Okay. That's a lot better. So let's put up speed 3. Ooh, okay. Handheld devices. AI is working. Got some R&D is advancing very slowly. Still have some rearrangements to do with the R&D centers. But look at that green bar. It's actually working. This number is going up. We have CPUs. Our R&D a printer. Good. It's printers important. Now this is a 6-month cycle we have. I do want to remove printers from here and throw it into either this or this R&D center. So I will actually not produce anything here. We'll just connect them onto 3 units. Terminate R&D. How long do you have to go? 0.2 months. That's a week. So let's let that run a little bit. Then we'll delegate our printer R&D to a dedicated facility. Meanwhile, our printer factories should be improving their quality up to 74 out of 75 tech, 91 quality. This is the warehouse? No, this is the warehouse. We do have some space to decrease prices here. So I will do that. And of course, this factory is overcharging. We do not have any external clients. We can reduce that and keep those 2 around the 60s. I could perhaps disable one of these, but I do know that my demand for printers is underdeveloped because of our competition. But now that we have this, terminate R&D, printers. Where's my printers? We're at 99 tech. That is good. Let's go for another 1-year cycle. Should we go for a 2-year cycle? I feel it's worth gonna give us 4 extra. I don't know. I think speed is important. Let's push for speed. And here we bring in electronic components. We're at 97 tech. Excellent. 97. I think I should go in for another 7. And then I will have 3 empty units ready to receive CCDs, which is a non-essential item. 71 tech. Or I could bring in CPUs. I do need to free up these 2 R&D centers, so I may have to actually reduce one of these into a multiple unit R&D center. This one comes in 0.82 of a year. I may have to move in phones down here along with CPUs in a reduced form. And then I'll be able to allocate these guys down here, and I'll have a free R&D center to produce I don't know what. But most likely will be something temporary until we finish notebooks. Then notebooks continue, and then we develop tablets. And got desktop computers up to 97. I think this is worth going in for desktop computers for another year. Let's pass this 100 mark. I think the quality will be very valuable very quickly, and then we start to re-accelerate in terms of larger chunks of time for larger gains, but R&D of CPU okay. And CCGs is almost done, so I will reduce this guy to bring in phones. Or perhaps I should maintain a 6-cell unit. I think CPUs is still very important. I'll go for 1 year so we don't get locked up for too long. Now I'll reserve this for the CCDs or the phones. Either way, CCDs and phones will be allocated over there. How am I doing? Phone tech 67. Yeah, I'll throw the CCDs into the 3-cell ones. Yeah, okay. So that's that. Now for desktop computers, we've got our quality improved 65. That means 85 quality. We're still selling at 84. And when we think about the final steps at 59, it's gonna get a huge boost of about 30. That is crazy. Not to mention the brand, which is also increasing. But there's our CCDs. I am actually going to concentrate CCDs down here to a 1-year cycle as well. Free up these guys. And I think we have to, this is the free one, right? I think I get 2 free R&D centers. This one's complete in what? 1 year. So we have 1 year of a spare R&D center. This one's 1 year as well. In 1 year, we're going to have these 2 new lines of smartphones and tablets. We will have to concentrate a little bit more, and these guys will also get thrown down there. This is a 1-month completion project. So I am actually going to disable you. I'll let these guys empty to receive the phones. And I'm going to leave these 2 R&D centers for both smartphone and tablets, which I cannot do yet, but I can begin producing new techs. Until then, new products will take a little bit too long, so I would rather try to find something that's useful in the long run for my supply chains of technology. So I am looking here. Plastics 1. Plastics definitely useful. Steel is another one. So I'm going to go for plastic. And I do know that I'll require 2 years for those guys. Is it really 2 years or 1 year? 14 months, right? 14 months for you, 13 months for you. That's about a year. So I am going with plastic for a year. And then when this guy's complete, I'll go for steel for a year as well. That is the overall strategy. Hopefully this demand will start picking up. As our stores, what do you want? Printer. Who are you? Internal motion. Technology is 99. Let me check my corporate details. Technology. Printer. In 1 year, I'll go to 112. It's not worth to sell. 8 million bucks. No. But a very valuable offer. I will admit that. So let's take a quick look. Have we emptied this? We have. Okay. Clients. CCD Tech and Tachyon Electron. Oh, this guy. Okay. So you are actually going to swap over for silicon. Silicon factory. You as well. And then CCDs will also link over to the silicon with the Y. And slowly we'll shut these guys off. Let's see our clients. Supply and demand is excellent. We're producing 39 quality, not that great. 34, 35, 39. It's getting there very slowly. So R&D of glass has improved. Just let me take a look. That is why it's 39. And mobile phone is one important move that we have. So glass is being R&D'd somewhere. Nowhere? Here. CCDs, CPU, camera phone, glass. Got mobile phones and glass. So we're up a little bit here. I would guess that it's actually worth going a little bit more aggressive in glass because this is not going to be very productive. So jump to 73 years. I think that makes sense. As for mobile phones, this is a product that's decaying in terms of importance. As the new products come in, they will come in 1 year. So having this go for another year, I think it makes sense. And we have a vacant space here. I think there's no reason to have a vacant space. Anything's better than vacant. Paper, polyester, refrigerator, television. I would rather have something that's intermediate towards technology. I still don't see anything interesting. Like I could do the techs that other companies do, but that seems like it's not a smart use of my resources. I think polyester is something, but do I have nothing to steal? Like playing that for something? Oh yeah, pushing mobile phones over there. I think it makes sense, right? Put that for 1 year. Over. Terminate you. Got a 6 unit freed up. Glass is obviously not important, so I'm actually going to make glass into something very short term, like 1 year as well. As soon as I free up these two, I have a lot of interesting things to produce. So if I have 1 year stuck with these guys, that means I'll have 1 year with this R&D center, which is a 6 unit. I'll actually put a glass onto the top one. And for the bottom one, now this is where innovation comes in. We have some tech here. This is where I should produce steel, also for 1 year. And I'll get those both freed up at more or less the same time. So let's take a quick look at our retail sales. Printers are going back up, thank goodness. Brand is slowly creeping up, quality especially. What, desktop computer? Let me take a look at our desktop computer technology. Corporate details, technology, desktop computer. It's at 97. We're reaching 111 in about a year. I definitely don't want competition, especially right now. I think it's too sensitive. 8 million, it's not worth it. Sorry. So, as I was saying, we're checking out our retail sales, and printers are going back up. We're regaining market share over Compass Point. Thank goodness. We have a lot of brand, but we have a lot of quality. So we're maintaining 70 quality. I think I can increase prices a bit. Will be healthy for the sector. I'm sure that they'll match that price. This is Beijing. Let's take a look at Barcelona. They still dominate Barcelona. We still haven't recovered fully our sales. Quality is also there, but still not 70. It takes a little bit longer for products to reach Barcelona. Prices, of course, they're higher in Barcelona, which may be part of the reason, but look at that brand. We have extensive brand awareness. Overall rating is very similar in both markets. I think we're balanced here. As quality improves, brand improves, I think we should be able to maintain this. What I could do is perhaps in Barcelona, take a quick look at our advertising and reduce, it's actually 100,000, it's not that bad. I'm gonna reduce it a little bit. We actually have two stores, both, that one's not really working, so let's take a look at this one. 130,000 in Barcelona is way more effective than other cities. We know that for a fact. So I'm going to reduce this by 30,000. That may potentially decrease brand overall rating, but quality, it will build up as the products turn over. So that will improve. Also, quality here is already at 70% Santiago. That's great. Brand awareness is not there yet, but that rating is super high. I'm sure that these guys are having a hard time with their sales. Look at that curve going down. Ours is just pumping up. I think we can increase prices a little bit. It will help with competition, but it will also help us. I think it's important to help us. We do not need to exceed too far beyond the local competitors. And this is a long-term game that we will win. So I'm very confident that I don't need to be too aggressive. As long as we're accompanying them and maximizing our short-term profit, we can pass through this difficult time and recover our overall financials to finance and ultimately our R&D centers. And our R&D center reshuffling here has been extremely important. I'm sure it was not that entertaining to watch, but it's extremely necessary. And finally, our CPUs, our desktop computers, are producing again. I don't know how this demand will perform in the long run. Training is going up, that's good. And of course, printers, profit is going down because our prices went down, but overall capacity is pretty good actually. So we do not actually need to train that much, especially this factory. I may eventually just shut off smaller. As for CCDs, two do not have any customers. Maybe I'll decrease this price. I don't know. I may actually disable one factory unit. Let's reduce costs. We do not need to train. How are we in terms of training? 0 train. So yeah, definitely something I am not concerned about. As for silicon, we're supplying the entire market at 79 cents. This guy is only a glass. We have plenty of supply, so I think we can decrease training. And for silicon, we could use a little bit of training. So that investment is being redirected. We do not have enough silicon. That's interesting. Our CPUs are consuming everything, apparently. So what I'm going to do is produce another. This is not very efficient. That's okay. But I will want a little bit of silicon. You need to be able to set this. CCDs, electronic components, we're producing for the entire industry. This is excellent. Quality is awesome. Demand is through the roof. Profits are very marginal, but that is okay. Decrease training. That's for glass. Already checked that. That is good. So printers, this demand is increasing. 60 bucks sold, 69. This one can actually decrease. It's at 86, which means that finally our retails have to do one more pass at our pricing for printers specifically, as our costs going down. I'll take a look at this store. Profits are going up. That's great because we readjust those costs. And that is that. So I am very happy with what we've accomplished so far. We are definitely in the greens. We're at much better profit. 9 million cash. We're actually quite stable. I think when we look at our what is the button for this? F4 for the stock market. Ooh, look at that. Even Ricardo's stock has skyrocketed. That is incredible. This is definitely 200 million. This is far beyond anything I could have expected. Like, this is awesome. I'm going to just sell 5% and keep an eye on this. This is excellent news. Excellent news. And with that money, I can actually go ahead and repay some of the debt. So we currently have 160 million. I'm going to reduce this to about 120. And then when we look at one tick of time go by, and I'm going to take a quick look at our corporations. We're rebuilding these numbers very slowly. We've been left behind, as you can recall, stock comes about 50% of the max of the industry, and so have been added up into our numbers. Probably have improved a lot as well. But so far the leader is apparently Eternal Motion and Compass Point. Who would have known? But we have a lot of other average companies such as Serpentine, very relevant. Beta Corp, very relevant. I'm loving it. As for the corporate details, we can come up to our products. Let's look at firms first. So retail stores, we have 6, and that is the bulk of our revenue, of course. Retail, but profit. Definitely the factories are very important here. R&D is a sink, but warehouses actually make a slight margin, but that's okay. But products, desktop computer up to 27 minutes, about 23 million in the previous episode, and mobile phones are going up. Printers are back gain relevance over our CPUs and electronic components. Now, the interesting thing to note here is that CPUs and electronic components were theoretically the core of our business, and most definitely we're having to push these new products through verticalization to drive the demand. And even then, they are still just a shadow underneath these huge consumer products. So I think that's actually expected, but I think the pleasure is in these products, while the results, of course, is in these. So that's one thing to keep in mind. As for graphs, look at graphs 1. Past 3 years, our revenues have been building up very slowly, but this is the main point I think that we have to focus on now, as if we restarted the series midway, dedicated to tech, whereas before in the beginning, this was basically built up by the other non-necessary revenues such as televisions, toys, and so forth. As for expenses, of course, they go up as well, but operating profit, this is where we are now, definitely in the greens. Net profits as well. Net worth is starting to rebuild as we lost during this period of lots of turnarounds, turmoils. And as for graph 2, cash is starting to build up as well. Of course, land resources is going up. Inventory, we don't want this to go up too far, but it's part of the business, it's fine. Business assets, total debt, we will take a huge step down here as we just repaid a big chunk. And R&D expenses, this data point is usually just distorted. I'll consider this level here. We did not make any changes. Advertising is great. We do not pay dividends, training, salary expenses, and write-offs. I'm glad the way things are. Owned stocks. We have 186 billion in owned stocks if you can recap. This is more than double. This is very good, very comforting. But it is not a result of our efforts, but it is what it is. So as for the balance sheet, these are the numbers. Just take a quick look at our loans, down to 123 million, it's down 42 million. This is great. This is a progress towards solidity. And for net cash, we're actually up to 79 million, down 22 million, but this is a very solid position. This allows us to have liberty to create and improve the business. As for the income statement, we have a lifetime revenue of 3.1 billion, and the last year is 130. Operating profit, we're in the black, of course. And loan interest, we paid 11 million. That's a huge portion compared to our operating profit, which means that we had a net profit of minus 95 in the last year. But it's part of a larger context, so we'll analyze this in the beginning of the next episode. As for technology, we're up on many products to the 100 mark, several to the 70s, the 50s. That's good. Our prospects are pointing towards over 100 now, so that's excellent. I think this is the way to go, especially because we are a technology company. Advertising brands is improving. Of course, Barcelona is the number one. For some reason, it's super easy to get brand awareness here. But the other cities are slowly increasing. Santiago is at the 20s, and Beijing is at the single digits. So I think Beijing could warrant an increase in advertising spending. Santiago, I think, is okay. And Barcelona could warrant a decrease. Well, I could keep an eye on that. As for dominance, there's the only change here is printer. We're back to number one. This is surprising. And of course, the computer whole product class was actually number two. That's because of that notebook sector. That's super interesting. We're gonna take a look at that. As for ranks, we're actually number one in user and operating. That's a non-issue. Annual net profit, we're first. That is actually pretty impressive. Return on equity, take that, 40%. What'd you know? And return on total assets, what'd you know? And net profit margin, that's awkward. I have a feeling that's not the true number, but let's take a look at products, and most specifically computer. Look at the size of that market. It's pretty relevant. Okay, I definitely want to get in there. 76% through with R&D for that. And printer is at 8 million. We're recovering our 1/3 of market share, but I think we have a lot to progress here. And as for communication devices, we are the sole producers in mobile phones. And hopefully we'll open up new products as we come in with the camera phone and in the sequence of smartphones. So prospects are actually pretty, very awesome, good. As for Beijing, the real wage is at 58. This is a usual tendency that I notice in the cheap market, cheap labor cities. But Santiago and Barcelona are higher, so that's a good place to be producing and R&Ding. So I'm extremely happy. I hope you're happy as well. And I'll see you in the next episode. Au revoir.